Okay.
He needed a little buffer. Maybe not a big buffer, but a little buffer.
Got about 2 minutes.
Yep. Did you say we were posting for a new attorney?
You're supposed to say that out loud.
Oh, I'm sorry. You didn't hear that.
No, right. I already applied and made threats against anybody else who wanted to apply. We're not on-
Oh, you already got one. Okay.
Yeah, I remember it this time.
I know, it's paused. Recording is paused. You're fine.
What's Scott's last name?
Microphones pick up well, don't they?
Was that ASS dash? Okay, Scott, I was just trying to be nice. Yeah, we just posted earlier today.
Yeah, I'm gonna have you, Scott, just, I'm gonna have you come up and get a little report as far as. Just gonna have you come up and get a little report as far as what happened over the fourth. Okay. Just, if it was good, it's good, you know? Just to let the public know. I guess I'll do that in.
If you're ready, I'll start the recording.
You're ready? I'm ready.
Recording in progress.
I would like to call the Township Board meeting to order. And would you please stand for the opening prayer and pledge of allegiance? Mr. Gopel,
Yes, sir, thank
please.
you. Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight asking for guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us engage in meaningful discussion, allow us to grow closer as a group, and nurture the bonds of community. We ask for peace in the warring countries. Bless the sick, injured, and those who have passed as we pray for an end to the conflicts that exist today. We also ask for comfort to the family of Bonnie Mathis for the loss of her husband Dave. We ask these in your most holy name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call. Lorraine is absent. Reed?
Here.
Kotrick?
Present.
Krug is present. Kessler is absent. Gopel?
Here.
Tucker is absent. We do have a quorum. Tom, could you go over the recording for us, please?
Sure. To the members of the public attending tonight's meeting in person or via Zoom, please be advised that this meeting is being recorded to be shown on Public Access TV, Spectrum Channel 191. Recorded meetings are also posted on the Fenton Area Community Television YouTube channel. For those attending via Zoom, we ask that you keep your microphone muted until we reach portions of the meeting where public comment is allowed. For tonight's meeting, there's one public hearing on the proposed street improvement special assessment district for Haddon Street, during which public comment will be accepted. All other public comment will be taken near the end of the meeting. Meeting materials are available for download on the township's website at fentontownship.org.
Thank you. I'd like to back up. I would like to also say that our attorney, Jack Belzer, is present. Operations manager, Tom Broker, zoning administrator, Mike Deem is also present. And additionally, township officials, Melissa Lawrence and Ellen Lawrence is on the website, or Zoom. Okay, the next business, we need to appoint a temporary chair in the absence of Mr. Lorraine.
I move Clerk Krug become chair.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, Tom.
Lorraine is absent. Reed?
Yes.
Kotrick,
Yes.
Krug,
Yes,
Kessler's absent. Gopel?
Yes.
Tucker's absent. Motion carries.
thank you. Approval agenda, is there any additions, corrections, or deletions you would like? Hearing none, I need a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll move the motion.
Support.
Roll call, Tom?
Krug,
Yes,
Kotrick,
Yes.
Kessler's absent. Reed,
Yes.
Gopel?
Yes.
Tucker's absent. Loreen is absent. Motion carries. The agenda is approved.
thank you. Next is meeting minutes. Included in your packet are the minutes from the June 20th regular meeting. Are there any corrections or requested revision to these minutes? Hearing none, the meeting minutes stand approved. Next is expenditures. I need a motion to approve the expenditures of $685,254.64 for payment.
I'll move the motion.
Support.
Roll call, Tom?
Reed,
Yes.
Gopel,
Yes.
Tucker is absent. Kessler is absent. Loreen is absent. Krug,
Yes.
Kotrick?
Yes.
Motion carries. Expenditures are approved.
Okay, the first thing we have tonight is a public hearing. It's proposed street improvement special assessment district for a Haddon Street and a hearing of necessity. This is a public hearing on the creation of the special assessment district to have repave Haddon Street, and the total estimated cost of the project is $555,000. The board will now accept public comments on the following: creation of the special assessment, the proposed boundaries of the district, the necessity of the improvement, the preliminary plans for the improvement, and estimated cost for the improvement. Is there anyone here present tonight that would like to address the board? If you do, please step up to the podium and we'll listen to your concerns.
Good evening, Terry Groves. There's two parcels on Haddon Drive at the end of it, and I'm very concerned about the watershed. I visited Enid the other day, and I see that they have a grade there that will allow the water that snow plows, drainage from the houses up and down there. How is that going to be dealt with? And look at the width of the road over there. Is it going to be any wider than it is now? Those two questions I have.
I don't think, the road commission will ultimately do the design. I'm 99% certain they're not planning to widen the road any.
Okay.
But the estimate, let me find it here. So basically, they're looking at reconstructing the entire road, extending some storm sewers and repairing.
I'm sorry, what about storm sewers?
Doing some additional storm sewer installation and repairing some of the drainage structures that are already there.
Okay, is there specs and plans on that now?
No detailed plans with a special assessment project. They do just kind of a 30,000 foot view, cost estimate. If we move forward with the project, then they will do design, and we can even have a meeting before it goes too far.
Yeah.
To go over detailed engineered plans once they have them.
Okay, so maybe I should wait to hear that out?
The details like that are really not something we're prepared to consider. This is a decision whether we move forward or we don't.
Okay, can you turn the volume up on this a little bit so I can hear better when I'm sitting in the audience?
Okay, the guy who's running that just heard you say that, so hopefully.
He's in the back
No, he's in the
room.
back room.
Okay. All right, I guess that's all I have at this time.
Well, let
Thank
me
you.
ask Melissa.
It's a road commission project, though.
I know, I just wondered if she knew. I guess she's not listening.
Yeah, she is. She just came in.
Oh, there, she's unmuted.
Yeah, that, what Tom said is accurate. They'll do the design once this is approved.
So what we will do, once they, if it's approved, we will set up a public meeting where we'll have the road commission here and answer your concerns. And they will normally go over the issues in great detail.
Thank you.
Anyone else like to address the board?
Of course, you guys all know me better than that. I wouldn't let this go by without asking a question. Fred Hensler, 14007. I'm curious as to how far this is going to go. My house actually has a Swanee Beach address.
Yep. One of your neighbors came in and caused me to get with the road commission to clarify. I thought they were going to pave all the way to the intersection, and they're not. So you're one of the properties that got notice, but you will not be in the district because you're not on Haddon Street technically.
Okay.
So you won't. That's the
So
last
we
time you'll
missed
be-
Grove Park, we missed Swanee Beach, and now we're going to miss Haddon. And we've probably got the worst of all of the roads that are there. I called Vince, and Vince was able to get somebody out to patch some holes, but, you know, I had a neighbor that lost a Volkswagen in one of the holes that was there. It was pretty significant. So what we're going to have is we're going to have Enid, we're going to have Grove Park, we're going to have Swanee Beach, and we're going to have Haddon, and we're going to have 2 houses on my side of the street and 2 houses on the opposite side of the street, which are Swanee Beach addresses. At least our side is. I'm not sure what the other side is, and those are going to be left out. Is
Well-
it possible to include those, so
Well,
we don't
that's-
have our own
Again,
special
this
assessment
just
district?
came up within the last week, because technically the rest of that right-of-way is either Grove Park or Swanee Beach, which are not residential streets, they're local roads. And so when we had most of those roads paved a year ago, that comes out of the township budget.
Okay.
So what I'm planning to propose is, because this project, if it gets approved, it's not going to be done this year.
Okay.
It'll be next year. When we set up our 24 project list, I'm going to ask the road commission to have whichever contractor gets the contract to do a little add-on, so we don't have that little 200-some foot stretch of unimproved road amongst all the new pavement. So
Okay, so if it's not approved, are we not in the special assessment district? So the part of the 555, we won't be part of that,
no,
correct?
you would not be.
Okay, all right, thank you. Look forward to the answer.
We're trying to trap you in there, Fred.
What? You know, I like the house, might just as well go ahead and stay there.
Thank you. Anyone else like to address the board?
I just have a quick question of that, I'm sorry. Monique Michaud, I'm on Grove Park, I'm also one of the skipped houses. My question was, I was, in the original letter, I'm in there and it has an assigned amount. From what I understand, you're saying that's no
Right,
longer valid.
The
But-
Francis and Mr. Hensler are the properties that they were mailed notices, but now that we've gotten clarification from the road commission, you will not be part of the special assessment district going forward.
What I wanted to know, is there an updated list someplace that, I don't know,
Proves that you're not on
documents
it.
it or something of the sort? I tried to look online, but I couldn't find anything on your
Because
website.
until the district is created, nothing is official. We did a preliminary based on early numbers and before we found out there were properties that needed to be removed because they were technically on Enid, not on Haddon.
Okay.
So we do have updated numbers, but it's a little premature because that part of it is after the contract is done. We know the estimated cost is $555,000. That ends up working out to be probably around $11,000 a home, and half of that for garage lots, if it goes that direction. But again, that's we're early in the process to discuss how the costs are to be allocated. But for your property, you are one of the 3 that were notified of the hearing that we now know will not be part of the district.
Okay. Okay, I'll wait. Thank you.
They don't want to, so.
Okay?
There were 3 properties that we took out.
Would.
I'm
having a rough time hearing back there, but, so that little stretch of Grove Park is not gonna be done?
It's not going to be part of the special assessment. What I'm proposing is because it's considered a local road, and therefore any improvements are funded by the township typically, as opposed to residential streets, that we pay the contractor, whoever does the Haddon project, to finish the job all the way to the intersection, and we'd pay that, the township would pay the difference out of our road budget.
How come it wasn't done when they did Grove Park?
That's a good question, because the road commission, I assumed when they said they're doing all of Grove Park.
Exactly.
They stopped at the intersection. Honestly, I don't know the roads that well. I didn't realize that was Grove Park until we got into this.
Well, I'm sure not in favor of spending the money to do our Haddon Street when we're gonna leave that little stretch there.
Yeah. No, my recommendation to the board is if this project goes forward, we'll pave the whole thing at the same
I
time.
appreciate that. Thank you.
Can we get your name for the record, please?
Bob Vandermark,
Thank you.
13437 Haddon Street.
Thank you. Anyone else like to address the board?
My name is Mike Vance. I'm at 13514 Haddon. Thank you for the opportunity to let me ask my questions. So the 555,000, is that a solid price or is that just a ballpark depending upon the design review?
That's an estimate.
Okay.
It's
So it could be higher, could be lower?
Right, they
Okay.
they try to estimate conservatively, because it's always a lot more fun to tell you why it came in
Right,
under
sure.
than over.
Absolutely. Okay.
But that's the road commission engineers giving that estimate.
Does the township contribute to this project at all, or is it just going to be the homeowners? Because I know I'm assuming that we contribute to the maintenance of the road in our taxes.
Well,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah, when it comes to taxes, that's a whole nother discussion. I'll try to do this in 2 sentences. Nothing in the property taxes is for roads. The only
Okay.
tax we all pay for roads is the gas tax, and the township doesn't get any of that.
Okay.
So the maintenance comes out of actually the gas tax money that the road commission gets. But you have to remember, their definition of maintenance is plow the snow and patch the holes.
Right.
So when it comes to residential streets, the construction cost is always done by special assessment, and 100% of the construction cost falls on the property owners. Now,
Sure.
the road commission will provide the design, engineering, and inspection out of their budget, so that does not get added in.
Right.
And the township, its only real contribution is the cost of doing the special assessment, the mailing of the notices, the publication of the notice, $2,000. And in this case, this may be kind of an unusual one if we end up paving that little stretch of Grove Park
Sure,
to
'cause
connect
that's
it all
covered
to pavement.
because it's a different
That little
classification.
piece would come out of the township's budget.
Okay. So was the proposal, then it was by citizens on Haddon, or was that from the township or the road commission?
It was done by petition of the property owners.
Okay. The financing, is it going to be a one-time fee, or will it be spread out over X number of years?
Typically, if the project moves forward and the full reconstruction is done, road commission is giving that a 20-year plus life. So we could do probably a 15-year special assessment.
Okay.
And so it would have interest attached. We'd sell bonds to finance the project, and then each property owner would have the ability to pay it off at any time if they don't want to pay the interest.
Okay.
But those who want to spread it out, no problem.
Did they give an estimate of how long it'll take? Or is it still up for review?
Well, I mean, if the board decides to move forward tonight, then the next step will be an agreement with the road commission to actually start the project. They'll design it, bid it out over the winter, construct it in the spring.
Oh,
It's
so
probably a
it's
1 to
not-
2 week job once they actually start the work.
Okay.
Maybe a little more for the full reconstruction. That's a better question for the engineers.
Okay. I think that's all the questions that I have. Thank you.
Because it is a next year project, we'll definitely have time, if the special assessment goes through, to have a meeting, like we said earlier, with the road commission and appropriate people here to answer specific concerns.
And for the petition to be submitted, it required, what, 51% of the?
Over 50% of the frontage in the proposed district.
Okay,
And we had about 59% actually.
was it? Okay. Is there a way I could review just to, and I'm not trying to be picky, but I had been involved in a situation in the past where my name showed up on a petition that I had never signed. And I'm not saying that's happened, but is that public record that I could maybe come by and just confirm and double check?
You can,
Okay.
I actually
Again-
know, I know for a fact that yours was not signed.
Okay.
Because Nancy's your wife, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, we were on the Music Boosters together, so.
Oh, okay, awesome. I'll tell her you said hi.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So no, I know
Okay,
yours was not
that's
among
cool.
the 59%.
That's fine. And again, I'm not trying to impugn anybody on this. It's just that I have a lack of trust because of a previous situation.
No,
So, thank you.
it's good to have it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Sir, you've been up and down so much, come on up and talk to us.
My name's Rick Cothray, 13357 Haddon. My daughter and my wife live in the residence, and I really didn't pay much attention to this until I heard about this meeting, at which time I came down, and I talked to Tom this morning, and a lot of stuff that I'm going to say now, he's already heard and answered. But I was stunned when I looked at the estimate on this thing. And I'm an engineer. I'm a mechanical engineer. I have a master's degree in civil engineering. So I am no stranger to road projects. And I'm just stunned at the costs on this, and the costs are what, somebody's butt or whatever. I came down to see the drawings. There are none. So I drove all the way down here today for nothing. You guys are asking us to approve this thing based on what? You know, there's no drawings. There's no good estimate. I think I could give you a better estimate walking the street than these guys will give you. The cost of engineering, which I know we're not responsible for, $100,000, $100,000. And this is an alley. This is not a road. This is like a double wide driveway. You know, at $120, that's almost 900 hours. It's allocated to this, 900. Really? I mean, typically something like this for drawings, especially with AutoCAD, should be somewhere in the neighborhood of $20,000 to $30,000. So I don't know if they're a for-profit business or not, but this thing's way out in left field. They also have on here some of the other things, maintaining traffic, $45,000. Really? At $50 an hour again, that's 900 hours. Where, you know, where are all these people going to be? When they did Enid, it took them about 2 weeks. And I walked that several times just to see what was going on. And frankly, I only saw 1 or 2 guys. So I don't know if that's a placeholder for contingency or whatever. But this project can't possibly cost $500,000. It can't. Otherwise, the money's going in somebody's pocket. So I guess, how can I say yes on something like that? And you can't show me a drawing. You can't show me a budget. You can't show me anything that you really need to make a decision. What do we do? And the other thing is, the way it's being assessed, I have a tiny lot, 40 feet, yet I'm paying half again as much as other people who have lots that are 3 times the width because I happen to have a garage on the opposite side of the road. Something's wrong with that picture. So I think if I was to make a decision tonight, the decision would be pass. Okay? This thing needs to get a little bit more focus get the scope nailed down and get the people in a room, and let's decide what we're really gonna do. The only thing that's really wrong with Haddon Street is it's a V, all the water collects in the middle. And why can't we take out the center 4 feet, realign all the rims of the catch basins, and put the asphalt back in? That's where all the potholes are. They're not out on the edges. They're in the middle. So it seems like maybe there's another alternative we need to examine, as opposed to, you know, just willy-nilly coming up with numbers. That's all they are. They're numbers. They don't represent anything. If in my business, I'd hand somebody like an estimate like that, I'd be out the door. They'd think I was nuts. So my thing is, let's figure out what we're really gonna do here. Roads like that don't cost $1 million a mile. They don't, okay? And I've been doing that for 50 years, and I'll bet my life on it. So that's it. Any questions?
No, I appreciate your input. Like I say, this is from the road commission. As Mr. Broker said earlier, they take an overview so we can have the 555 that you disagree with. That's their first estimate we get. If we approve it, it being the assessment district, then they go into greater detail and are able to establish either more or less. And as Mr. Broker said, they normally try to give us the best reliable estimate they have. Our engineers.
But you have to base it, on the reality of what's out there, okay? And I don't see anything on here that tells me, you know, what, what's what. On one side of the sheet, they have a quantity of aggregate base 7-inch that's, what, 380 tons. On the other side, it's for the premium job, it's 2,200 tons. Now, I was told this morning that that was because they're going to take out portions on the cheaper model. They're going to take it all out on the premium model. Okay, we're already taking it out. How much? When they get back and doing it, are they going to change order us to death? You know, on, oh, well, we had to take out a lot more than we thought. So it's like, come on, guys. We can get out there, we can figure this thing out real quick, and I'd be glad to help them. But, you know, they say, hey, you do the premium one that's 23 years or 25-year life. I don't know of any road in Michigan's lasted 25 years. You know, they just don't. And the subdivision I live in Flushing, they did the same thing there 5 years ago, and it looks just like it did the day they did it. It doesn't last. It just doesn't. All the cracks and all the under substructure, it just basically telegraphs back through. You know, that's what asphalt does. So.
Well, you definitely have more knowledge of the project and the process than I personally do. I can only present what the road commission has presented to us.
Yeah.
Like I said, if it's approved, we will promise to have a meeting with the road commission here that could answer your questions. I can't. I'm being honest with you.
Well, what are we going to vote on tonight? We're going to vote on to start the process?
Well, we have to have approval of the special assessment district in order for us to have the road commission, the county road commission, initiate specific plans, time, and costs.
Yeah, but the plan's okay. So are they going to go ahead and spend the $100,000 or $97,000 if we say go tonight?
Can I address that?
Yeah, this is Alan Lawrence. Go ahead, Alan.
Okay, we're talking a lot of things here, and I'm glad that you're a mechanical engineer, but there is a difference between civil and mechanical.
I have a
Now,
master's in civil engineering.
May I finish?
Just for the record.
Go ahead, Alan.
In looking at this, what you come up with as far as cost on design doesn't really matter because there is no cost there. So there's no cost to that. So there's no sense in even talking about it. Now, we have not looked at any of the drawings at all. Okay, we don't typically on SADs, but I think probably we should start looking at them and see what's going on because a lot of what you're asking needs to be answered.
What drawings?
So I'm not trying to say you're wrong. I'm just saying there is a difference in what we're looking at.
Well, I came down to see the
I've
drawings
been
today
doing
and they told
roads
me there
for
aren't any.
40 years.
Excuse me?
I said I've been doing roads for 40 years.
Great.
Okay, well, I don't want to argue about it.
Yeah. All I want to know is if we say go tonight, what does that mean? That means once the balls start rolling, you can't stop it.
Well, then the road commission will do an agreement, which the township will take at their next meeting. Then if that's approved, then the road commission will start the design. Then if we need an informational meeting so people understand what's in the design, we'll do that. They'll bid the project out. Now, there is a requirement if the low bid puts us 10% over what we're used as our estimate, there's a chance to kill the project if that's what the people want.
My last issue, I guess I won't belabor the issue, but in your notifications that you send out, you said that it was based on frontage, okay, the assessment.
No, that's not what it says. The petition sufficiency is based on frontage. That's according to statute.
Okay.
And so over 50% of the frontage was represented on the petitions that were turned in. And so that triggers the start of the process. The allocation of costs, which is not the topic of tonight's hearing, is the final step when the special assessment roll is confirmed. And as we discussed before the meeting started, I'm fully prepared to give the board a few other options if they feel that the equal share approach we've been using on the other projects, if they don't feel it fits as well in this road because of the difference in property sizes.
Okay.
So we'll come up with a couple of different options for them to consider.
I understand it. You explained that quite thoroughly this morning to me. To me, it looks like it's like a bait and switch. Here's how we're going to figure out and get the ball rolling. So if there's a lot of huge lots on this road, it seems like a very small or minority number of people with huge lots say yes. Well, everybody else got to get in line because the frontage was the issue to start the ball rolling. And then when it comes to the money and the payment part of it, the payment is, well, we're just going to split it right down. Everybody's going to pay the same. Well, I'm not sure that's fair. And especially now that I understand what was on that sheet, if you have a garage, your lot's so small, you don't have a garage on your house side, you got to pay another 50% on top of that. Who invented that idea? I'm sure there's people here that don't like that. Or is it just me? So I don't know.
Can I just clarify something from that? So it is the frontage that determines whether we even have the authority to create a special assessment district. There has to be over 50% of the frontage.
Correct.
But we do know there's 55.56% of the parcels too.
Right, 30 out of 54 parcels signed the petition.
And that's something we've asked too. It's just
Right.
the frontage is the part that determines whether the special assessment can be made.
Mm-hmm.
But
according to
the
statute.
board always wants to know the percentage of properties as well, because of the situation you described, they wouldn't be as eager to move forward if they got 51% of the frontage, but only a third of the property owners. If that was the case, the board may not move forward in that case. That's why they always ask for both numbers, even though only one is required by statute.
Well, I guess I just really wonder, I know that there are some people, I was just made aware of one tonight, who actually signed the letter that went out, not really understanding what they were signing, and they want to pull it back. I forget the lady's name, but my neighbor there back there, he knows who it is. So is that an irrevocable commitment once you sign that letter?
Not really heard of that happening. I mean, at this point, we're at the hearing, so.
Now, let me explain what's going on here. This is all out of whack. All this is at this point is whether or not the assessment district should be formed. That doesn't mean it's gonna go forward. There's been nothing done to, this is a wild estimate by the road commission, and once they get the actual bids on this, then that comes back and everybody can look at it. The whole thing about garages, that's way normal. That's way normal. And if there's somebody that doesn't want it to go forward, they can raise that issue later, but it'd be kind of confusing to say the least, and there's no good method to have somebody say, well, now I've changed my mind, unless they were somehow forced into signing the petition originally.
I don't think it was very clear, to be quite honest
Well,
with you.
please, really, let me talk, okay?
Sure.
With all due respect, you like to interrupt, so let me finish talking, then you can say whatever. So what happens is, at this point, the board decides to go forward with it, doesn't mean that project's going to happen. The estimates may come in, the board may decide that it's not any good. There seems to be this big problem with whatever, 3 or 4 houses that aren't gonna have their road paved. I mean, there's a whole bunch of issues here, so the board can't really go forward with anything at this point until there's a special assessment district formed. Now, that district may be changed or expanded or something as it goes forward, and this doesn't mean that everybody's gonna get assessed. There's gonna be more public input where everybody gets the opportunity to address these things with the township. And this method of paving roads and doing these assessments, they're all pretty normal. And most every road is built to county specs. They have their specs, they have their engineers, and they do this. Whether that's the best way or not, but that's just how virtually every municipality does it. They do it to county specs unless it's a city, and then they usually have their own DPW, and they do it themselves. But literally every township, maybe 1 or 2 exceptions in the county, it's all done through the county road commissioner, their specs. So whether these specs are good or bad, we'll get to see those when they bring the drawings, and there's no upside or downside to the township. This is done 100% for the residents to bring it to the township. I mean, the township did not initiate this, and they could, but they didn't. And so if the residents don't want to do it, I don't think it matters at all to the township. I mean, 100%, this is just reacting to what the residents want. So if they come in, another, petition comes around, 50% of the people saying, we don't want it, township, I'm sure, would be glad that, I've never had that happen, but I'm sure they'd be glad and they'd be silly to go ahead with it then. So if the lady wants to change it, or somebody wants to take another petition around, heck, do it and take it, give it to Tom or Bob, and that would end the whole thing. Because the township ends up spending effort and time that's not included in all these costs, because that's part of their function here to, meet the needs of the residents. But if the residents don't want it, I don't think anybody, well, I know there's nobody on the board that's gonna push it forward if the residents don't want it. So if that one lady doesn't wanna do it, and you don't wanna do it, and a bunch of other people don't wanna do it, you can get the required signatures, that's the end of it.
You done?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I guess I think I stated before, probably not clearly, I know that the county needs to have standards when they're building roads. This isn't a road, this is a driveway. This is, the highest speed on it's 20 miles an hour. I mean, it's basically, where I'm from, it's an alley, okay? they don't worry too much about those because basically it's just access to a residence. It's not a thoroughfare for traffic. There's no stoplights. There's nothing. So I guess that was when I'm saying something like that costing $1 million a mile, man, that's out in left field. So hey, enough said.
I just want to say, we do thank you for telling us, we have to, the only way we hear things is either through, the petition group or people coming and talking to us. So we do appreciate your time. If you think that there are neighbors who might not have understood it when the original petition group came around, if you bring that another petition to them, we definitely listen to that. Like, I would like to know if people are being misled.
I don't think they understood it. My daughter almost sent it in. It's like, are you nuts? You want to pay for this?
Right. Well, if you want to go talk to them about it and collect a signature, it's just the only way we get information on like the percentages is from the petition, and so that's the only kind of source of information we have.
Okay. So tonight is just yay or nay, and it's for go forward or?
For taking it to be designed by the.
Yeah, there's no method for a government agency to build a road to some lesser standards. And in fact, a lot of municipalities, to be honest with you, I don't know what we have here, but they require driveways to be built to specific standards that probably exceed what's on the road right now. Whether it makes sense or not, yeah. But if you get enough people to sign it, heck, that'll be the end of that.
Okay. Thanks for your time.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks.
Yes, sir.
Can I just ask for a clarification based on a couple of points that you made? You're voting tonight for the approval of a special assessment district.
Correct.
That basically means nothing, as far as I can see. If that is approved, then it goes through to the next step, which is engineering and design of the road. Does that come out of the special assessment district, or did I understand that comes out of the township?
That's from the road commission.
Road commission.
Road commission funds it, funds the design and engineering.
So the road commission so nobody that's in that special assessment district, if this thing were to unravel, would have any financial interest in the engineering. Right. Is that correct?
Correct.
Not necessarily.
Yeah, I'm with Tom.
If the road commission is more than willing to put in those costs for projects that get built. If we get all the way to the end and it gets killed, they're looking for reimbursement for the cost they've actually incurred.
Okay. And that would be in the approved special assessment district.
Typically, it would come from the special assessment district.
Technically, you could kill the deal, but still have $100,000 and split amongst 45 houses.
Potentially. Has not happened yet. But
I'm not an engineer. I'm not a road guy. You guys all know that. Does engineering for the commission go out for bid, or do we just have to accept the price that they give?
Depends on their workload. They typically, sometimes they farm it out to engineering firms if they don't have enough staff to work on it.
But we're not able to get bids on the engineering costs.
No,
That has to go.
Roadwish does it in-house.
Okay, so
Well, it's usually in-house, but occasionally
but
they.
it's done by the road commission.
Yes.
It's not-
Correct.
Even if they farm it out someplace else, we pay the road commission or whoever is on their pay scale.
Right.
I was just trying to get
Yeah.
clarification
Yeah.
on my own knowledge.
Are there any other, yes, sir?
My name is Kurt Brown, 13367 Haddon. I've lived my entire life on this lake, as some of you know, on Haddon and on Lake Shore, where my father still is. The source of the lady that was confused, that story came from me because I spoke to her at about 4 o'clock this afternoon. She lives next door to me. She is a widow. She was in the hospital for many weeks because she broke her hip and underwent hip replacement surgery. When I spoke to her, I asked her the very simple question: do you want this? She says, I signed a piece of paper, do I want to fix the road? But then I got the estimate. Holy cow. I want to change my vote if I can. I said that I would express that. Because she's concerned about the money. She's a widow. And there are at least 3 other widows on Haddon Street. I have a concern, you know. I live next door to Mr. Cawthray. I have a concern about whether this road is universally in need of this. There are parts of it that absolutely are. I have a concern. I have a concern that approving a special assessment district gets us a ball rolling. As an attorney, there's something called the slippery slope that I'm sure Mr. Belzer's aware of. And that's what I am too. And I'm worried about the slippery slope. You know, the house where I live has been in my family since 1935. So we're not new to the game. My grandmother was there when they paved Haddon Street. Are there things that need to be done? Okay. But I'm worried. And I don't make a point of coming down here. As nice as he is, I don't get to see him very often, so. I've got concerns, and when Mrs. Hanley said that to me this afternoon, she says, please use my name. So I did. I'm not going to bring up the other widows. I know who they are. But that's the concern, that, oh, we have this seeming significant majority. Based on what? You know, I didn't sign for it. I know that. That's just the concern I have. I mean, if Mr. Brecker did answer one question about if we want to spread it out over 15 years or whatever, that's one plus, because there are people on that road that think they have to pay right now. And I can't do that.
The township, in any assessments, tries to extend the payment. Either you can pay it off instantly, or a lot of them are 10. The longer ones are 15 years, so it breaks down. But if you go beyond the first year, you're going to get hit with interest. And that's a decision
That's
I
a
can't
personal
make
issue.
for you.
Sure.
It's-
No, I'm just, those are the concerns that I have. You know, it just seems like the ball's rolling down the hill. You know, we don't have, down the street from me toward the end, there's an area where there is a major problem with drainage. And we have a cost that may not include that, or it does, or nobody seems to know. But, you know, there's brand new, I mean, I live in an old house. Those are brand new houses down the street. And every time it rains, it's like a little lake.
Yep.
I'm concerned.
And please keep in mind, it wasn't our being the
I
township
completely
idea
accept that.
to
Completely
get
accept
this
that.
going.
I have concerns, you know, I didn't approve it, or I didn't sign something to approve it, and I have some real concerns about approving it now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And we won't hold you being an attorney against you.
Oh, I will.
Oh. I'm just trying to lighten up the load.
I have questions for Tom.
Yep, Mark?
One, these 4 residences on, I guess, the non-Haddon part, are they part of that 54 parcels?
I'm sorry.
You said we have 30 out of 54 parcels signed for this.
Right.
Were the people that are Fred and his neighbors?
They're not included in that number.
Not included. And how soon after the special assessment district is, say it's approved tonight, how soon before the county actually starts to do engineering estimates on it?
Depends, the design, well, the next step would be an agreement with the county, between the township and the county, to start the project. And then they would start the
That
design.
agreement would be what, the next meeting?
If they can get it to us, it'd be the next meeting.
Okay.
And then
So
they'll
nothing
start the
actually
design.
happens between now and the next meeting?
Other than letting them know we've created the district, and then they'll prepare the agreement and get it to us.
Okay.
And then,
I guess my thinking is if we, because, again, this is all resident driven, and if we do approve the special assessment district, and I don't know if you know who, anybody here knows who circulated the original petitions?
they were mailed.
Okay, okay. That's fine, I was just wondering, because if this is approved tonight, then we still, whoever is opposed to it still has time to at least get in contact with the other side, the other 30 people that want it, or 29, whatever we've got. And, you know, I don't think if anything can be done before the next meeting, there wouldn't be any damage in if the assessment is, the district is approved tonight.
Well, if the district's,
Mr. King?
thank you. If the district's approved, then they're theoretically on the hook for the design cost, right? Once the district's approved.
Once the district is approved, they would be if it keeps going. I think Trustee Gopal's point is, we haven't even approved the contract, so they're not gonna
Right.
start the work yet. So
Okay.
if there is thought of backtracking, that could take place before any real costs are incurred.
Okay, yeah, I guess I would sort of rather we delay creating the special assessment district, until after we knew for sure, if there's question about whether people understood what they were signing. I guess I would rather we delay that if possible.
But how long do you delay it, Kate?
Well-
I mean, we're never gonna get 54 residents here in front of us telling us, yes, I signed it, yes, I meant to sign it, yes, I still mean it. I mean,
Right, well, if
we've got a 55, almost 50, you know, leaning toward 56%.
Yeah, so it's really if there are two less parcel, yeah, if it were, what?
I mean, I agree what Trustee Gopal said too. You know, if someone feels really strongly about it, within the next 2 weeks, they can come up here and say, please, you know, I signed this, I didn't understand, I want it removed. And we haven't obligated to the county yet because we haven't signed the agreement with them.
If you're going to do that, my suggestion would be have the residents circulate another petition.
That's what I was getting at.
Because, you know, it's like anything else, you know, some people vote, some people don't. So the best way, if you're gonna do that, whether you delay this till the next meeting, or you just go ahead at the next meeting and get the contract from the road commission, have whatever residents go out and get signatures, so they can bring it in here ahead of time, not to the meeting, but ahead of time, so Tom and Bob can look at this, verify the signatures, and that percentage may change.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I think we're putting the onus back on the residents who have already done that work. And we have one resident here, or two, telling us that there's one person who says she didn't understand it. So now you're gonna take that as gospel and go back and put it,
Well-
the onus back on the residents to go re-ask
No,
them
only the
again.
one opposite direction, right? They'd be looking for people, you know, if we didn't get responses, it would only be if then a majority decided the other way. It'd be the onus would be on the opposite set of residents, the residents opposed, not the residents in favor.
We can only go by what we have, Kate.
Right,
This
that's
is
what
what
I
we have.
was saying.
We have 30 out of 54 people that want this. Maybe
29.
one, even if we knock two down, I'm still seeing
Yeah,
around
it's-
51,
it's a
52%.
majority.
So I guess, again, this is all resident driven. They've got what we require,
Yeah.
and we have, again, this board really wants to know the percent, I mean, you know, parcel is initiated, but we also want to know how many, what
Is that
percent of the
majority?
people were right, you know, close to 56%, so,
Can I ask, what was on do we know what was on the paper that was mailed out?
It was the actual petition language.
Right.
Which-
So that wouldn't have included any cost information, or would it?
No, we did provide cost estimates, which were very preliminary because it was months ago.
Right.
I think they were looking at around between 9 and 10,000 for a share. Now
Not
it's
much
more
more.
like 11, but
But still comparable.
but but again, normally costs are not part of the petition language because it's ultimately up to the township board what gets done and how to allocate the costs.
Again, I would suggest there's no downside if sometime before the next meeting, like the Monday before the next meeting, unless there's another holiday, but unless the Monday before I'm being funny. The Monday before the next meeting, lawyers do make jokes. They're usually not
Not
funny.
good
but anyways, so like the Monday before the next meeting, the individuals that find a problem with this special assessment district, if they can go and get 30 people to sign a petition, we don't want to go forward with it, and they bring it in, and Tom, you know, or Bob look, and they validate the signatures, then you'll know before the meeting. I'm not suggesting that the people who already signed a petition have to go back and get new ones signed, but otherwise, you don't have any real feel for things. You have people that come and say things, and they give you information that's valid, but this is a majority vote kind of thing.
Yep.
And so this way, you can, if you have signed petitions saying, we just leave the road alone, we don't want to pay for anything, and you get the correct number, then the board can make a decision. That's what I was suggesting, not that the people that already got petitions have to go out and redo that, but the individuals that find fault with this special assessment, let them go and get signatures and have the board.
I'm sorry.
Hold on just a second. Sir, you were up, did you want to say anything?
I'll just say hello.
Okay.
And my name is Paul Bailey, 13331 Haddon. And I took the lead. I got support from a number of my neighbors. We discussed it, talked about it. I came to the township. Mr. Broker was very helpful, explaining the procedure. I mailed a letter with the petition, and that didn't quite make it, so a group of us walked Haddon and knocked on doors. So I don't know, I'm the informal leader of the group, you might say, but there were a group of us that felt strongly, and still do feel strongly, that Haddon needs to be repaved. I'm confident that we have a percentage, the percentage that's required. And we answered questions. We told people to talk to the township and call in if they had questions, and urged them to do that, and I'm sure some did call in and ask for clarification. So,
I have one question for you. Do you happen to know, I see 30 out of 54 parcels, okay? Were the other 24 parcels no, or were there some where you didn't get, there was nobody home, you didn't get any answers, and you just stopped when you got 30?
well, the petition that we sent, that the township furnished us, is a question, will you support the special assessment district so that Haddon can be either just repaved or reconstructed? So it was not a yes or no vote, it was if you support, please sign and send it in or take it to the township. So
Do we know
those who said yes, I don't think anybody, there was not a spot for a no, so it wasn't a vote yes or no, it was a request for support and request for people to sign yes if they support us.
Tom,
And
would you happen to know, so there was just 30 yes responses, were there any no's?
No, again, as Mr. Bailey said, it's a petition.
I'm just
So
saying people that were
if you're
for-
opposed, you don't sign the
You
petition.
just don't sign the
So,
petition.
So there's no way we know if the other 24 were against her, they just didn't bother to send it back?
that's correct, we would not know.
Okay, thank you.
And we do have your letter on file, sir.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else? Yes, sir.
They just finished Eden. Are all the numbers in on that, on Eden Drive?
Enid Boulevard was, that was a mill and pave project, so that was not a reconstruction. It was just under 300,000.
Okay.
But they've got, that's probably a 7 to 8 year before they're gonna have to do something again.
Okay, I mean, in comparison here,
I hate to draw comparisons because the roads are in different conditions. You know, they had a more expensive option, but it was almost triple to do a full reconstruction with storm sewers. And they opted to go with the lesser cost, understanding that, okay, instead of 20 to 25 years, they might squeeze 10, but at less than half the cost, it makes some sense.
could there be something produced saying this so the folks would understand why? I mean, if it's, this one's 550,000, this one was 300,000, why? I mean, as a layman, I don't know what asphalt is and all these engineering costs. But if it's a lot different, or why is it so much different in cost?
That's
Because of the years of,
yeah, the engineers are gonna have to answer those questions, because that's beyond my scope.
Yeah.
thank you.
Anyone else like to yes, sir?
Is the onus to make sure that the road is maintained, is it on us, the citizens, to call the road commission? Or does the township do that on our behalf? My concern is, we get this nice new road put in, but if there's no maintenance to it, or if we don't keep up on it, are we gonna be back here again in X number of years? Or should I be calling the road commission saying, hey, I've got a pothole that's growing here? I just assume, shame on me, that it gets taken care of. But if I need to be more proactive in that support and that maintenance, I'll do that. But I just don't want to put a whole new road in here, have it go to crap, and then we're sitting here again 10 years later and saying, well, we didn't do this and that. You know what I'm saying?
The road commission website does have a spot to report potholes, and they do respond to those. Because I've gotten to the point now, if I get a phone call or an email, I just go to their website and report it for them. And
it's our responsibility, the people sitting here.
you get done faster if you do it yourself.
And I didn't even know that until today. It's not the township that's coming by and.
Right, yeah.
throwing potholes.
Public roads are under the jurisdiction of the road commission in townships.
And I will tell you from experience in a prior neighborhood that it does work. I have used that pothole, and I give that speech to some of my friends and neighbors who complain, and I'm like, I'm telling you, it'll work. You go on their website, there's a little pothole, you report where it is, and they're usually out within, I'd say, 1 to 3 days. They're usually pretty good about it.
Maybe if we had been more proactive, we would have gotten to this point.
Well, if the road was paved almost 40 years ago, you've gotten your money's worth out of it.
To his point, and I guess my wife had asked me to ask this and I forgot, so I'm glad that you brought that up. There's been a lot of construction happened in the last 5 or 6 years. And there is no outlet, so if a heavy truck's going down, it's coming back out the same way. I've seen what heavy equipment has done to our parking lot and our business, and it just destroys it as far as these heavy trucks coming through with bobcats and trailers and dump trucks and what have you. Has there ever been any thought about some type of an assessment for people who are doing construction, heavy construction, building a new house, or something along those lines, to have a sinking fund to offset that so we don't run into this situation again?
Well, I think that comes dangerously close to being an impact fee, which is not legal. But I will tell you that if the road is constructed to county standards, construction traffic should not be a problem. If it's an older road that's already failing, yeah, it could hurt it.
Are there weight limits?
Weight limits are only seasonal.
Trucks coming through. You've seen them all the time. It isn't enforced. It's even posted.
Yeah, they do the seasonal weight limits when the frost is coming out of the ground, but that's about it.
Yes, sir.
One more time.
Could you come up here so everybody can hear you? Thank you.
I wanted to answer this question on the engineering part of this. It's just, the biggest difference between the two proposals that they have is they're gonna take out all the bed of the road and replace it. On the spots, I guess, that they have identified maybe that need to be replaced. And they're just gonna do a little here, a little there, a little there. And that's the biggest cost. I think it's 380 tons for the first one, 2,200 tons to do the whole road. Base work here, basically a replacement of the entire road. I agree. Every year, I start April 15th, year end there, and call the road department. It usually takes 4 calls. I didn't know they had a website. Thank you. No one uses the telephone anymore. I'm retired. Okay. Oh,
Okay.
I was gonna ask, is there another possibility to entertain a third proposal for the center section of the road where all the trouble is?
I didn't make the first proposal, so that's why, if you want to get into that type of stuff, and Mr. Belzer, correct me if I'm wrong, we need to pass the resolution and get the process going where the road commission then gives us a much more detailed of what they plan on doing.
And possibly options too.
Yeah, I would think based on a meeting with the residents, I think we've had that come up before.
Oh, we've had-
Like Enid, you know,
We've
if
had
enough residents come in and ask the
informational-
questions, they may be willing to go back and
The one thing about
engineer
Enid
some
is,
options.
and the difference between Enid and Haddon is that there's no manholes on Enid. Enid, excuse me, there's not. Everything is sheet drained to the side. It goes down into that little swale down there. And we've got several dozen, so that means all the rim heights are gonna have to be adjusted. So, you can do that, it's not a big deal, but it's additional work. They went down and scarified that whole thing in a day and a half. I mean, that machine could just eat up the roads. And it was amazing. And once they did that, it was just bring in all those live bottom trucks and
What's our next
put that asphalt on some quick. I was amazed. Did a good job. So,
Thank you.
Yep. Is there anyone on Zoom that would like to make comments? Okay, hearing none, what I would suggest, if the fellow board members approve, that we postpone action tonight on the resolution, move it to the July 18th meeting. We should have a full board there at the time, and at that time, take a vote, and it would also give those that feel they were uninformed when they signed, if they want to circulate a petition now, you would have till the 17th to provide it to the township, and we would then adjust the numbers appropriately between yays and nays.
Well, it would just be an informal petition of opposition. If it-
Right.
As Attorney Belzer said, if they get over half to sign that, it wouldn't matter whether we've adopted the resolution or not. So I
agree.
Unless the board feels more comfortable delaying it, there's
Would-
really no reason to delay action on the resolution, unless you just prefer to do
No,
that.
Is there any sort of time sensitive, because if it's gonna end up being not till next year, I'm just not seeing why, I guess we need to rush to make this special
No,
assessment.
there's not a rush.
Okay.
But it's just to clarify that then if the resolution gets moved, it's not another public hearing, there won't be more notices sent out, the public hearing has been held.
Right.
But then the board, would then take action on the resolution at the next meeting if that's.
Any other input from any board member?
I guess that's why I just prefer to continue this to the next township meeting, just because this is the part that's on the special assessment district, so if there's,
How do you
I
feel
don't
about
think
that?
there's any chance that, 9.84% of the frontage doesn't approve, but if something, a bunch of people were misinformed, and it were 9.84% of the frontage, then creating the special assessment district wouldn't be, I don't think it'd be legal.
So if we, call the motion tonight, I mean, there's only four
Let's
of us.
vote.
So, yeah, so one no would stop it anyway. Is that correct?
The resolution only requires a majority of those present voting.
Okay.
So 3-1 could still pass a resolution.
I'm not opposed to voting on it today. I think the residents submitted a petition.
Okay.
I've heard concerns here, I've heard engineering concerns and the like, but, maybe one person has stood up and said, I absolutely don't want it to go forward, but I think, I think the residents have spoken by this petition, and I'd be comfortable moving forward and voting on it tonight.
I just want to clarify, my concerns aren't so much with the engineering part, we get that sort of every time, it's that at least 2 people have told us that there's a resident out there who was misinformed, and if there were more people that affected, I would want to hear that before creating the special assessment district, because we do need the 50% of people approving, or 50% of frontage approving, to even have the board empowered to make a special assessment district. That's the only reason, I guess that's the only reason I would want it delayed.
Well, tell you what, let's do this then. Let's vote on it.
Can I hear what Jack has to say?
Yeah, all I was
Jack?
gonna say is, I don't think anybody said a resident was misinformed. I think what it was, a resident did not understand,
Okay.
which is different than being misinformed.
Wrong words.
No way.
No.
Yeah, just.
Yeah, I agree, it's a different thing.
Yeah. Operations Manager Broker, would you please read Resolution 2023-21?
Resolution 2023-21 determines that the petitions submitted meet the over 50% requirement of the statute, approves the preliminary plans and estimated cost of $555,000, creates the Haddon Street Improvement Special Assessment District, which includes all properties fronting on Haddon Street, directs the supervisor to create a special assessment roll, and repeals any conflicting resolutions.
I'll move that resolution.
I'll support.
Roll call, Mr. Broker.
Kotrick?
No.
Kessler's absent. Krug?
Yes.
Gopel?
Yes.
Tucker's absent. Lorraine is absent. Reed?
Yes.
Motion carries. The resolution is adopted.
Okay, thank you. Moving on, pardon me, losing my voice. We're at the part for reports. Mr. Dean, please.
So we've recently updated our BS tonight, and we have much better tracking. So we will be giving you guys monthly reports on all the planning and zoning projects that we've been working on, from site plans, rezonings, variances, special use permits. What you have in front of you is the year-to-date that we've been working on. Things to note on the last page are the rezonings, right? You adopted the solar ordinance last meeting, and we will be talking to you really soon about short-term rentals. Either be the next meeting or the first meeting in August. What we'll be doing is making a presentation of the results of the survey. And then the Planning Commission is going to be working at their next meeting of sort of what their take on the survey is and what philosophy that they are going to use when preparing an ordinance. They want to bring that idea to you guys and kind of get a consensus that they're going in the right direction before they go one way, and if you guys want to go the other way, let's not waste all that time. So again, right, I think it's pretty straightforward. It's just your typical variances, a couple site plans, and like I said, the rezonings, but we'll be giving you monthly updates, and we'll be talking to you soon about short-term rentals.
So Mike, I had a quick question about this report.
Yep.
So I sit on the ZBA, and I noticed that one on here came in a certain way, and I'm talking about the one on Dooley Drive. So he had asked for 885 square feet.
Mm-hmm.
We ended up approving something less
Yep.
than that. I think it was 610 or 612, something like that. But my concern is the data on this report might be pulling from the application, but we need to make sure that it's correct so we're not creating ambiguity if we look back at this reporting and the file is different than what this report says.
Sure. So,
You remember that one?
yep, no, I know
Yeah.
exactly what you're talking about. So there's two fields, and you're correct. What you're seeing here is taken from the application. The
Right.
second field, which is not on here, actually includes the motion and what was actually approved. So I will make sure that that's noted on both sides,
Okay.
not just
And I know
on
when
the-
you put new systems in and start the reporting, there's always things that you need to tweak to make sure that it checks all the boxes, right? So that one jumped out at me,
Sure.
and so I'm glad you're here and I could ask a question.
All right.
Thanks.
Yep.
Thank you, Mike.
All right.
I should ask, is there any questions for Mr. Dean? Okay, moving right along, communications, there are none. Next is the adoption of ordinances. It's the point where we propose fire code ordinances, second read and vote. Are there any comments from the board members? Okay, I need a motion to adopt the fire code ordinance as presented.
I'll move the motion.
I'll support.
Roll call, Mr. Broker.
Gopel.
Yes.
Tucker's absent, Lorraine is absent. Cotrick.
Yes.
Krug.
Yes.
Reed.
Yes.
Kessler's absent, motion carries, the ordinance is adopted.
Thank you. Next is unfinished business. We have none. New business, the Genesee County Road Commission local road agreement on Whitaker Road, Linden Road to Hart Drive. Mr. Broker, please.
Yes, so at the June 6th meeting, the board kind of gave preliminary approval to this project pending bids. It's a project that we actually started several years ago, and the bids came back so high we kind of shelved it. And they bid it out this time, and it came in about 7% over the estimate we used, which is not bad in today's market. And worst case, we might have to bump the budget up by about $10,000, but $406,000 for the construction, $95,000 of which would come out of the County Road Commission allocation funds. And then, of course, the county will cover all the engineering and inspection like they always do. So we're looking at a net, there's a cost analysis at the back of the, it shows the net cost to the township would be about $311,000. And we've already got we've got $550,000 in the budget. We'd be about $7,500 short, assuming all these projects come in exactly as they're estimated. Of course, they do change. They could come in under. We might not need to even to amend the budget. So, but I think this is one that's kind of been a long time coming. They even had the trees removed years ago preparing for this project before it got put on the shelf. So I would recommend that the board approve the agreement, we move forward and get this road paved.
Thank you. I need a motion to approve the local. Yeah.
May I ask a question for Tom? I'm showing 1,000 feet for an estimated cost of $406,000. So is that million a mile kind of gone now? Since I'm looking at a fifth of a mile, and it's almost a $500,000
Well,
versus 200,000.
Yeah, the problem we have here, you've got a road that's not paved at all, as opposed to repaving a road, so.
So repaving a road's $1 million a mile?
Depending if it's a reconstruction, yes.
So
But
to
taking.
go from a dirt to a paved road,
Yeah.
engineering it, okay. I just wasn't sure on that.
Yeah, $1 million a mile is what we're using several years ago, and costs have
That's
definitely
what I was
gone up.
asking if it went up.
Well, $1 million a mile still holds, it's just with curb and gutter.
This would be with curb and gutter.
I don't know, I haven't looked at it.
Okay, fair enough.
Anything else from board members? Okay. I need a motion to approve the local road agreement with the Genesee County Road Commission to pave Whitaker Road from Linden Road to Hart Drive as presented.
I'll make the motion.
Support.
Roll call, Mr. Broker.
Kessler is absent. Krug?
Yes?
Reed?
Yes.
Lorraine is absent. Kotrick?
Yes.
Tucker's absent. Gopel?
Yes.
Motion carries. Agreement's approved.
Thank you. We're at board comments. Are there any board comments tonight?
Can I have Sergeant Pritchard come up and maybe give a little rundown as how the 4th went as far as the police aspect of the township went?
Hello, Sergeant Pritchard, Genesee County Sheriff's Office. 4th of July actually went very well. The only major incident was a OWI crash at Thompson and Torrey. Other than that, it was just noise violations, and there were no late reports today. So it went well.
Very good, thank you.
Thanks,
Did you get a root
Scott.
beer float after the parade? Did
What's
you get a
that?
root beer float after the parade?
No, I wasn't around.
No.
Okay, are there any people in the audience that would like to address the board on agenda or non-agenda items? Are there anybody on Zoom that would like to address the board? I don't know what HSR is.
They don't unmute, they don't.
Okay? Based on that, I will adjourn the meeting at 7:48. And thanks for coming.
Replacement for the one that you gave up?
I thought I got the same one back, it looked like.
Oh, there's, yeah.